Here's a preview of what you'll hear on this episode of Beyond the Wheel.
It took a while in the beginning because, as I've told our people, we'd need to nail it before we could scale it. It's not as easy as it sounds to bring all these different services together under one roof and try to provide one unified service between sales, service, storage, wash and detail, paint and body. It's difficult. In fact, it's very difficult, especially with service.
Now enjoy the show.
You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
Hi everyone. Before getting into the episode, we would like to ask a favor. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave a rating on your podcast platform of choice. It really helps getting the show more listeners through the platform algorithms. Also, if you are listening directly from our website, please leave a comment on what you think about the episode. In this episode, we are joined by Brett Davis, the founder, CEO, and president of National Indoor RV Center. If you like insight into the industry, this is an episode for you. We talk about everything from sales to service to storage and really get the inside view from one of the top executives in the industry. So without any further delay, let's talk with Brett Davis.
Hi, Brett. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at the National Indoor RV Center?
Sure. I'm president and CEO of National Indoor RV Centers. Founded the company in 2008. We actually broke ground on our first building the week that Lehman Brothers went under. Opened our doors for business in December of 2009. I'm a career investor. That's what I've done my entire career, primarily equities and fixed income. However, I bought my first coach in 1985 and have been RVing since then. I have 9 kids and now 27 grandkids, so RVing's been a big part of our family's life. And in October or November of 2013, sold the house and have been living full-time in a coach since then.
It's interesting that many CEOs or executives at RV companies that we talk to don't actually RV themselves. So it's interesting to talk to someone who's been in the game for a while that is actually an RVer.
Well, I absolutely loved the lifestyle before ever getting into the business. So no, it came at it backwards, I guess you'd say.
I don't know. I think you actually went the right way about it. I think probably the fact that you RV'd, and we'll get into this more into the episode, but you saw a need for an indoor storage facility for the RVers.
Yes, these coaches, it doesn't matter when they're bought. They're not cheap. My first coach was a 1985 Ford Travel Grand Villa, and I couldn't store it in the community I lived in. They prohibited that. So paying that kind of money and then storing it on a gravel lot and a chain link fence on the outskirts of town didn't bode well. I didn't. My wife really didn't like the inconvenience of service. Well, I love the lifestyle. These things break if you use them, and they break more if you don't. So after every trip, I have to call and make an appointment several weeks or months out. She'd have to follow me over to drop it off. And they'd call in a week or two after diagnosing it and have me come pick it up while they waited for parts, and then have to take it back. No place to dump, no place to wash. It was just, well, I loved the lifestyle. Everything that enabled you to live the lifestyle was a major hassle. So, no, what started this wasn't, it was out of selfishness. Literally figured, worst case, I'd have indoor storage for my coach and service, and it would end up being a low yielding asset. Or, best case, if others felt the same need I did, then I would know and we'd be able to grow the business. And the latter is obviously what happened.
Yeah. So when you had the idea of the indoor RV center, did you think just storage at first, or were you already planning the service side of things as well?
No, when we opened with storage and service
Okay.
and paint and body. What we didn't open with was sales. We didn't get into sales for another 6 years. So no, sales is I know my sales staff doesn't like hearing it. To me, it's a necessary evil. It's a funnel to the rest of the services, but from an investment standpoint, risk reward, it makes absolutely 0 sense. It's capital intensive, it's thin margined, it's lumpy. All you got to do is look at the price to earnings ratios of storage businesses and service businesses and then RV dealerships.
Okay.
Storage is worth 30 to 35 times earnings. And in the current market, the last 3 transactions I'm aware of RV dealership sales, they sold at 2 3/4 times.
Oh, wow.
earnings.
That's not much at all.
So you can do the math. If I can increase the net income of the business by $1 in storage, the enterprise value just went up 30 to 35 bucks. If I increase it by $1 in sales, the value goes up $2.75, but $2.75. But I had to put $6 of capital in it to do it. It's just so no, sales is a funnel that drives the rest of our business, which is why we are low margin, high volume. We don't get attached to them, and we're not collectors of them.
Where was the first location?
Louisville, Texas, a suburb of Dallas.
And then how long was it before you decided to expand to other locations?
We went to Atlanta 5 years later in 2014. And then after that, it started to happen quicker. Phoenix was 2016, Vegas 2018, Nashville 2020. Just did Washington, D.C. at the beginning of this year. It took a while in the beginning because, as I've told our people, we'd need to nail it before we could scale it. It's not as easy as it sounds to bring all these different services together under one roof and try to provide one unified service between sales, service, storage, wash and detail, paint and body. It's difficult. In fact, it's very difficult, especially with service.
Yeah, I could imagine it is. When you're choosing locations or even choosing that first location, what made you choose Texas to start, and then branching out? How do you decide where does the next one go? And you guys just opened a new one in Nashville. How do you guys figure out where do you want the new one, and how did you decide where that first one should have been?
I can tell you this: our storage occupancy, 91% comes from within a 20-mile radius, and 93% is 10 years old and newer and above 30,000 pounds. So
Okay.
back in '08, spent most of '08 and a lot of money, and we updated each year, determining where those hot spots were that fit that criteria across the country. And so, no, we know where we're going to open up. Our heat map hasn't changed at all
Okay.
since the business plan. The order in which we open up is dependent on if we can get lines with manufacturers, land, approvals with municipalities, etc.
And going back to that necessary evil and the small margins, just for a minute, I saw something on your website that I don't think I've ever seen before. And like you were saying earlier, that the margins are already tight, that you guys will do like reimbursement for somebody. If somebody sees an RV on your website and they travel out to you guys, they fly out to you, that you'll do flight reimbursement, that you'll help them with their travel to get to you. Is that something new that started, or is that something that you've been doing for a long time? I've never heard that before.
We got into sales at the very end, like November of 2014. And since being in sales, it's our fly and buy program. At that time, we had just opened in Atlanta, our second location. So no, it's our fly and buy program, and we'll reimburse you the cost of your airfare. I think it's up to $500 per person.
Nice.
But yeah, it's always been there since we've been in sales.
Okay.
When people are shopping for an RV, they rarely think about what happens after the sale, especially for service, because they're looking at this bright, shiny new toy that they have, and they don't think about, what happens 6, 8 months down the road. Can you talk a little bit about how National Indoor RV Centers handles taking care of customers after the sale?
Well, service, it's the hub of our wheel. It's the heart and soul of the company. Yes, storage is our most valuable revenue stream, but it's constrained by capital. These big buildings aren't cheap. Service, on the other hand, is not constrained by capital. It's constrained by human capital, technicians. So when it comes to service, we have serviced all comers, whether they bought from us or whether they didn't buy from us. And that, I think, is what differentiates our company from our competitors. Servicing an RV, it's not easy. I mean, most people, unfortunately, their mindset is they drive a Lexus. Now they're paying multiples of what a Lexus costs. They expect that kind of service. It's just not that way. Auto repair, you may have one repair or 12 different repairs. You do 1,000 times a piece. When it comes to an RV, it's 12,000 different repairs. The average life cycle of the parts they use is 2.5 years, which is unbelievably short. And we've been implementing it the last 6 months. But we're several million and 4 years deep into creating our own software, service software. And when we sat down and drew it out on the board, which most people don't comprehend, one single warranty repair requires 88 touches across 16 departments. That takes a lot of work, a lot of communicating for just a single repair. And then we added another degree of difficulty to it at the beginning of this year. We started in Louisville and Lawrenceville, Dallas and Atlanta, where we're open 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for service. And we'll be expanding that to the rest of our locations during this year. And that's a precursor to where we've always wanted to go and need to be, which is 24/7 service. For us, we should be servicing our storage coaches and our sales coaches at night and our customers' coaches during the day. Right now, we do all three and have to turn business away. But when you start to look at the numbers, it compounds quickly, meaning it takes 6 coaches to keep a single technician wrenching the whole time. That's because those 6 coaches are in various stages of diagnosis, waiting for approval, waiting for parts, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So when you take 6 coaches per tech, add to it an average 16 line item repairs per repair order or per coach. And each one of those repairs is going to take 88 touches. And one team of technicians, parts, and warranty is going to pass off all those repairs to a new team every Sunday night, Wednesday night, and Saturday night. The numbers quickly become mind-boggling.
You mentioned that human capital is kind of the long pole in the tent for service. And I know, like, maybe the last 5 years, there's been a shortage of certified RV techs. Have you found that to be a problem for you guys? And are you guys doing anything to overcome that shortage, like maybe training training in-house, kind of OJT type stuff?
You hit the nail on the head. You guys can verify it for me, but because I did this a year ago. If you go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, you'll find out in 1998 there were 15,600 and some odd technicians, RV technicians. As of last year, there was 200 less. So from 98 till today, RVs, the growth in RVs has been very large. The complexity has gone up significantly since 98, but the average number of technicians has gone down. If you want to break it down, people are used to driving a car. Well, there's an auto technician for every 347 automobiles. If you're talking Class A diesels, there's a technician for every 1,687 of them. And I promise you, those diesels have a lot more repairs and a lot more complexity than does the car. So no, there is a shortage. It isn't going away. And the way we have grown our tech base, you hit the nail on the head. We screen heavily. We hire. Emphasis on screening because it costs a lot of money to train a technician. And we grow them internally. We have someone over training corporate-wide, and then a trainer at each location, and that trainer has 4 apprentices. And they are, I shouldn't say continually, but every 6 to 8 months they're graduating their technicians into the shop and bringing in another apprentice. So it's a slow go, but don't know of any other way to skin that cat.
And I would imagine as you increase hours and now days too, you're saying 7 days a week, that becomes even more difficult once you throw that into the mix.
It is from a communication standpoint. From a schedule, the technicians actually love it. Instead of working 5 8-hour days, they now work 4 12-hour days, get 3 days off. 3 12-hour days, 4 days off. They get an extra 84 days a year off, and that they, or I should say their wives, really have liked.
And I would imagine they're probably RVers, so they can now use that time to take their RV out on maybe a long weekend.
A lot of our techs do RV, and they do that.
Yeah.
Yes, if they juggle it right with 3-day weekends, as they have figured out, they can end up taking a 10-day vacation without using any vacation. So, no, the schedule has been a big positive. Now, handling the logistics of handing off all of those repairs 3 times a week, it gives lots of opportunity for drop balls.
But overall, I could see this being very beneficial for the consumer. 7 days a week is kind of unheard of, and 12-hour days for somebody to come in after their 9 to 5 job or something like that, that's really going to benefit the consumer.
So far, it appears to. As you would imagine, we are our busiest on Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect late next year when we go to 24/7, it will be an even bigger benefit, because if they can't get to us until after 7 o'clock at night, it won't be a problem. There'll be a full team of advisors, techs, all of that there waiting for them.
Okay. And then you mentioned warranty work, and I'm sure warranty kind of slows that process down as well. Do you guys only do warranty, or can somebody come in that doesn't have an extended warranty or a factory warranty, like if it's an older RV or anything like that?
Yes, to all of the above.
Okay.
We do factory warranty, a lot of it. Extended service plans, I can tell you this, 81% of all of our service revenues come from one form or another of a warranty, factory warranty, extended service plan. But no, we'll absolutely accept customer pay.
Okay.
You did touch on something that we don't always take, and that's the age of the coach. That becomes dependent on the owners. Once you get 10 years or older, we need to take a look at it. Not everybody maintains them the same way. As you can imagine, you can start off fixing just one item and 3 other things fall apart on you while you're doing it because they haven't maintained it. So we do try to avoid those.
Okay. I like what you actually said earlier, that if you use it things break, and if you don't use it, it breaks more, because it's very true.
It's true. These things need to be exercised.
Yep, absolutely.
When we get 1990 to 2000 model year coaches in, it never ends well. We end up eating a whole lot of it. We end up taking a bashing in social media, and nobody really realizes that just putting this thing up on the lift, things fell off of it. That we do watch for.
And you guys do the gamut of repairs too. It sounds like everything from like what we would consider like body work, from collision, paint, chassis, I mean everything.
We do. I can't prove it to you, but I'm fairly confident no one does more collision work on Class A RVs than we do in the country. Each of our locations has a 75-foot paint booth, and Progressive 62% of the insurance market. We've had a long-time relationship with them. Coaches are being towed into us every day from collisions, so no, we do a lot of collision and paint and body work.
75-foot body paint shop or booth.
Paint booth.
Paint booth. Is that all done by hand, or is that any machinery help? I'm thinking like a huge Class A. Are these guys up and down ladders spraying, or is it some of it done by machine?
Well, depending on the extent of the damage, did they turn too sharply after fueling up and hit a bollard and take out 3 or 4 of their bay doors? Or did they have a front tire blowout and 50,000 worth of damage? Or did a semi sideswipe them in a Flying J? I mean, it runs the gamut. The paint and body, the exterior, that's really the lipstick, if you will. The bulk of it starts in the service shop having to rebuild it from the inside out.
Okay.
Once rebuilt, then you are correct. I mean, in the paint booth, have y'all ever seen one of these things painted?
No.
I have
before?
No.
I think most people, this isn't like painting an automobile by any stretch. It is fiberglass, which is much more porous than painting over aluminum. But most of these start off with at least 2, if not 3, coats of primer. And then if, for example, there's 5 colors on it, the coach gets painted with 2 coats of whatever the least predominant color is. Then they'll tape it off and 2 more coats of the next paint color. Tape it off, 2 more. After they're done with the 5 different colors, what are you up to? 3, 10, 13 coats. Then they'll start clear coat. A lot of these have 5 coats of clear, with the last 2 being cut and buff. So when you take a bay door and scratch it the full length of the coach and go through all 5 colors, people come in thinking in terms of an automobile, like, what's that going to cost me, $200-$300? No, it's going to cost significantly more, because we got to start after repairing the damage from the primer and build it back out and make it match all the existing paint.
Oh, yeah.
Which that's really artistry at work. Yes, we have the paint numbers, but the second that coach went into the sunlight after its first paint job, some amount of oxidizations happened. So now you've got to make it match, not just in color, but in the age of the rest, so that you can't tell. There's a lot more art than science to that.
Now, the jumping over to the storage part of National Indoor RV Centers, is it all indoor storage, or do you also have some outdoor storage? And the second part of my question is, for people that are storing their RV, particularly indoors, are there hookups and everything to maintain the batteries and all that?
All our storage is indoor. And yes, they are always plugged into 50 amp. What you see outside would be our inventory or coaches that have been dropped off for service. But any coach on our properties are plugged into 50 amp, because you can take the first store in Louisville, At any point in time, there's 500 coaches on that property. To our largest in Phoenix, now that they're finishing the second building, where any point in time, there's 1,300 coaches on the property. Believe me, one dead battery gums the system up big time. So no, they're all always plugged in, because it costs a lot of money when there's a dead battery in the way it slows down our valet team, which then in turn slows down service, which it just compounds.
Brett, I have a question. Why go to 50 amp though? Could you have guys done a 20 amp and just like trickle charge, or maybe a trickle charge for the batteries? Is there a reason why you prefer the 50 amp and to have the coaches actually like plugged in like they would be at a campground?
Yeah, for any number of reasons. The first facility, and we had to change it after we learned this. Lots of things can happen. It used to be over a weekend when we were closed. Now we're all the time. But any acts of God, any power outages, now you've got all of those coaches that go immediately into bulk charge. The second you reset the breaker, you're not ever going to get them all back up on 30 amp or 20 amp.
Okay.
And we do, like everyone else, suffer power outages a few times a year at each location, from thunderstorms, ice storms, you name it.
Interesting. And to touch back on something you said, valet service, can you explain what valet service do you have at the National Indoor RV Centers?
If you go on any of our, well, you can look in campgrounds and you'll see it. You'll see a little QR code in the bottom passenger side of the windshield. Anytime a coach comes on our property for any reason, we put that barcode there. We have our own coach location system. Our valet team, the second they park a coach, they'll scan that barcode and then they'll scan the plug they plug the coach into. So we always know where it's at, number one. Number two, we know everything about the customer, that unit, how to contact the customer and what they want done, because they all want different things done. For example, they all load their coaches different, so they have different weights on each one of their axles. Therefore, they have different air pressures in their tires. We do free four-corner weighing at all our locations. So when someone calls, emails, or texts to say they're departing, our valet team pulls it out, scans the barcode. They know how much air pressure to put into each of those axles. And they know what the customer wants done. A lot of our customers want the front cap washed when they come back from a trip, get the bugs off. And then they want the whole coach washed on departure so it looks new when they leave. Anyway, you can pull up any customer and there is a list of 3 to 15 items each customer wants on departure. On return, they give us the list of repairs they need done, and it's our job to make sure those repairs are done before they go again.
That's service. That's for sure. And really detailed, that you guys have what their air pressure needs to be. I'll tell you, some people might not find this annoying, but I find it annoying when I bring my coach in anywhere for some type of service and they do their somewhat inspection or whatever they tell you that they do, and then they give you back the coach and I start driving down the road and it feels like I'm banging constantly on every little crack in the road. And then when I stop and check my air pressure, they've put the max, whatever it said on the side of the tire for the max air pressure. For whatever reason, that really annoys me because I never put the maximum air pressure in that tire.
I agree, not to mention it's not safe.
Yeah.
So no, we do it every time a customer purchases we do it then. When they come into storage, they can tell us. We weigh the coach what we call fully wet. That is a full tank of fuel, full fresh water tank, empty gray, empty black, and 2 people in the front seat. So then we'll weigh each of the axles, go to the chart, and then that's the weight that we recommend it be, or the pressure it should be filled to. But some customers vary a little and want a little less or a little more. We notate it in the database so that it's right there in our valet team's hands when they scan that out, when they scan that barcode. We do fill the fresh water tank every time they depart. We do turn on the fridge every time they depart a day ahead of time so they can put their ice cream in. We check and adjust the air in the tires. All of that is included in the monthly storage. And then there's a list of a la carte items we do if they request it.
Okay, but you guys do a lot just included. That I didn't realize all that was included right there. That's great.
And people can, it sounds like when they come pick up their RV, as soon as they load up what they brought with them, they're ready to hit the road.
That's true. If they're coming in their tow vehicle, they can hook up and leave. Surprisingly, half our people don't most of the time use a tow vehicle. They just pull the coach out from under the awning and they leave their car. And then we put their car in the building until their return. And it's in the barcodes of what they want done to their car while they're gone. A number of people want their cars washed. A number want their oil and filter changed. A number of minor things we can do for their car while they're gone as well, and we do that.
Okay, that's awesome. I have probably maybe a strange question, Brett. As far as fuel, do you ask people to return their coaches with a full fuel tank? Would you rather them not have fuel in the coach, as little as possible, or anything like that?
We don't care. We don't require anything there, but we do advise anyone and everyone to return it with the tank full. If the tank's not full, you will get humidity in the tank, and you will be replacing the filter a lot more frequently.
Okay.
So I've always stored my coaches with the tank full, the fuel tank full after every trip because of that.
Okay, makes sense.
I just didn't want the moisture, didn't want the algae, didn't want any of the bad stuff that's created by a half full fuel tank sitting there, especially in states like where we are, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee. They're all very humid. Well, Washington, D.C. is humid. So.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the planning for, it sounds like these storage facilities are massive as far as square footage goes. Planning one out like the one that just opened in Manassas, Virginia, how many years of planning does it take to get to from idea to opening your doors?
Okay, we currently have 6 locations, with Manassas being the new one. It's only a few months old, but we follow the same footprint. Manassas is a temporary facility we've leased for service and sales. The other 5 locations, you are correct, have big buildings, but we did it the same in all of them. We want to establish a customer base and prove up the market before, because I can tell you we're deep into the throes of it. Manassas will be every bit of a $60 million facility. Don't want to do that on a whim, want to know that there is a market and we have the customer base to support that kind of investment.
And then as far as the sales portion of the business, I know I go back to the sales a lot, but how many different brands do you guys sell? And then does each brand come with like unique training for that particular brand? Like if you're selling Winnebago, does Winnebago send trainers, and then does Newmar send trainers for them? Like, does everybody have their own unique training process for their vehicles?
Okay. Currently, well, we do A, B's, and C's. Our calling card is probably the Class A motorhome, especially the diesel. There we carry everything except Tiffin. Not a knock on Tiffin if it ever became available. We would welcome it. So that's probably the easiest answer, is everything but Tiffin.
Okay.
When it comes to training, I assume for service, that's been a long time pet peeve of mine. I won't name names. I remember back in 2016, I got a call from the president of one of the manufacturers that said they were holding their week of tech training, and that National Indoor RV Centers didn't have a single technician there. And I said, no, There isn't, nor will there ever be one. He was taken back by the response. I said, look, back then, you introduce your new model year in March. By November, our techs have had to figure it out on the job on their own. And the fact of the matter is, and it's still true today, we get called from the manufacturers without exception to see how we handle this repair or that repair. Because remember, they manufactured it, shipped it out the door. We got it. We PDI'd it. Right there, we discover a lot of stuff. I mean, we are the last 100 feet of the assembly line.
Mm-hmm.
The customer spends 3 days on the lot with us, and then they take it. And then they're back within a week or two with other issues. So we're having to figure it out a week after they release the new model year. Having tech training 9 months later is useless.
Yeah.
And as I told him, I should have been billing him for all the time our techs spent on the phone educating his techs. So it's something that needs to change. And until the industry provides that training before they release the new model year, now it's a waste of my money and our tech's time to be going there.
Okay.
There's nothing they're going to learn when they hold their tech training literally 8-9 months after they've released the model. Fact of the matter is, if you're going to have your tech training in November, it should be on the new model year you're going to be releasing in a few months.
That would make sense.
Not on what's been out there. So I don't know how many manufacturers listen to your podcast, but, well, I've told it to their face many times. So shouldn't come as a surprise.
I always just kind of assumed that the tech training was for the upcoming model years, not for the ones that were currently out on the road. Interesting.
No, it's always in the rearview mirror.
And then as far as like the sales side of things, do they send somebody when a new model year comes out? Do they send somebody, or do they just send you information? This is what's new on this model. This is a new feature or something different that we're doing or anything like that?
Yeah, they'll do both. They'll send us a matrix, a grid of what's new. They'll come and visit us. But, well, you met her. The fact of the matter is, the best training our salespeople get on the new product is Angie's videos. She really does take to heart and digs into those tables when they send it, so that when she's doing a walkthrough video, it's very thorough. And then we have our RV lifestyle specialist watch her videos.
Okay. Yeah, I've watched some of her videos, and you're right about that. She's very thorough. I really enjoy her walkthrough tours.
Yeah, depending on what you're watching, it's an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah. I like information.
Yeah, that was the thought. Those videos were never intended to get views. They were intended for someone spending $500,000 to try and provide them with all the information they would want before spending that money. So that doesn't make for a short video.
So for people interested, like, let's say I just bought my XYZ diesel pusher from dealer X, and I'm looking for storage. I can store at a National Indoor RV Center, even though I didn't purchase at a National Indoor RV Center. And if I was interested in doing it, okay. And if I was interested in doing that, can I come visit the National Indoor RV Center and, just see exactly where my RV would be stored before I commit to doing that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. We don't want you buying a coach without test driving it.
Yeah.
And the longer you stay on our lot after your walkthrough, the better off we're both going to be. It's the same way with storage. We want you coming in and getting the orientation. It makes life easier for both of us.
And we're also curious, Brett, while we have you on here, about the business side of things. As far as marketing goes, have you guys have any marketing tools that you found to work better than other marketing tools? Do you advertise on television, or do you use more social media marketing? Any tips for anybody that's running a business right now that you would suggest that they try out?
Well, for us, we're a little unique. No, we don't advertise on TV. It's word of mouth has been the best for us. What is unique to us is we have our own motorhome club. It's the All-Inclusive Motorhome Club, AIM for short, the acronym. We're well over 17,000 members now. We hold 8 rallies a year around the country, and they're different, every single one of them. They're not your normal rally. They're what I would call a happening. The entry fee, I think, $675, but between National Indoor and our other sponsors, it does cost about $2,800 a coach, so we subsidize the rest. As a result, our rallies literally sell out within 2 or 3 minutes of when they go online.
Wow.
That has been our greatest marketing tool by way of word of mouth and referrals.
And I would imagine that's on some type of email list. That's how people find out about the rally, when it's going to be, where it's going to be, and things like that.
Yes, there's a website for the club, and there's a Facebook page, all of that. And they'll put out the events, where they'll be for the upcoming year and what the dates are. But then they do just what you said, to be fair to everybody. They'll send an email and make an announcement on Facebook that this rally is opening at 1 o'clock on this date. And then they do a countdown. They send another email a week ahead of time, a day before time, and I don't know, an hour or two before time. So they give plenty of warning for everyone to be standing by their computer.
It's like a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah. I just came from our customer appreciation rally last week, and that was one of the questions I fielded. That very analogy. I wanted to know what we could do about the rallies, because they were harder than a Taylor Swift concert. On that front, it's been the intention from the very beginning. We cap each rally at 100 coaches. That way we can get in the nice resorts, which you can't do with several hundred.
Mm-hmm.
But that we would do what we call, as the club grows and we monitor the activity, we would do back-to-back, meaning the first rally, give it a day in between for them to leave and the new people to come in, and then a second identical rally. And that is what we would continue to do. When they release 2024 schedule, I'm sure most, if not all of those, will be back-to-back rallies. So that we can accommodate everyone on the one hand, but two, keep it small enough that it has an intimate feel where you can renew friendships and make new ones. That just doesn't happen when you have hundreds or thousands out in a big old field.
Yeah.
And our event staff does it. I don't know, I think it's been 4 years ago we started the club. Anyway, charged the event staff with creating a memory at each rally they couldn't otherwise create on their own. And they've done an outstanding job of that. Every day we supply all 3 meals. They're all very nice, good meals. Happy hour every night. Educational tech talk for the guys in the morning. Crafts for the women. Cake, cookie decorating, etc. Excursions in the afternoon, depending on where we're at. Zip lining, whitewater rafting, ATV, that sort of thing. And then happy hour, dinner, and live entertainment each night.
Wow.
And it's 5 days, 4 nights of that.
Wow.
You guys go all out. And then what I'm
I
hearing...
guess think of it like a cruise, but in your RV.
Yeah.
One price covers everything.
Oh, okay. So I think what I've taken away from this interview is everything that you guys do and plan and just from everything, from the storage, from service, everything, is that you are incredibly customer focused to make the experience for the consumer just as easy as possible. Hopefully that came through for everybody. At least that's what I took away from it.
Gosh, Kenny, I hope so, because our slogan, our motto, our mission is customers for life. So right down to the wash and detail team, we try very hard to do that.
I was gonna ask you a question because you have such a unique perspective, I think, compared to other companies in the RV industry, because you really are getting that customer at the sale and potentially keeping them through the life of that RV or even several RVs with going through service and storage. And, the last 3 years, the RV industry has been on kind of a boom cycle with incredible growth. And I think this year we're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown of that pace. Do you have any predictions or thoughts on where the RV industry is going to move over the next couple of years?
I definitely do. And on that one, I'd say just stand by. As the market dictates, I've done videos the last several years. RVs, the economy, and you. And I'm just about to release a video on the economy with another one right behind it on the RV market. As it relates to sales, you are correct. We want customers for life. It doesn't matter what their age is. I want to supply them their service, all their needs, and to the extent we can, provide the lifestyle for as long as they RV. To that end, it starts our RV lifestyle specialists. They're not paid a percentage of the gross profit. Is it any other RV or auto dealer? Rather, they're paid a flat commission per unit, and they can get bonuses based on volume retroactive to the first unit. Just because that young 28, 29-year-old couple coming in and looking to buy a used Class C, I want them, because if we get them and treat them right, we'll have them for the next 40 years. But if you're paying based on gross profit, our RV lifestyle specialists would be tripping over themselves to try and take care of a King Air buyer who was probably on his last or next to last coach. So, starting from the way we compensate our people all the way through, it's geared so everyone gets the same treatment regardless of how much money they're spending.
Yeah, that's really unique to any sort of sales industry, I think.
And throughout COVID, I'm the only dealership I know of, we never changed our pricing throughout COVID. We work on a percent over invoice, and we never changed, even though lots of folks internally were saying we were selling too cheap, we could get more, which I'm sure we could have. But I'm going to need that purchaser, that buyer 5 years from now as much as I needed them then. And I believe people have memories, and so far they've been very loyal to us. This market right now is down 58%. Mm-hmm. And in March, we tied the company's all-time record for sales, so we haven't experienced that yet. Now, I'm not saying we can continue to defy gravity forever. I'm just saying we've found our customers reciprocating in how they've been treated and how they treat us.
Yeah, that's a good testament right there that you guys are still doing well, even though the rest of the market seems to be dropping a little bit this year, for sure. I believe that's all of our questions for you, Brett, and thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything we left out that you wanted to highlight?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
Didn't come with an agenda. I just came hoping I'd be able to answer your questions.
Yeah, I think you did that and then some. So we really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and join us, even though we know you're just getting off a plane. So we really appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
I really enjoyed that interview with Brett, and I hope you did too. I found it very insightful and appreciated Brett's transparency when talking about the business side of operations. This is the type of episode I believe we strive for when we are giving you a true behind-the-scenes look of the RV industry and what drives it. I love Brett's quote of nail it before you scale it, and just how much everything they do has the consumer's best interest in mind, even if it means ruffling some feathers with the manufacturers. We have some great episodes coming up on the horizon, so be sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform. And if you have the time, we would really appreciate you leaving us a rating on your podcast platform. These ratings help the show get recognized and grow. Take care all and safe travels. Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com. With the complexity of all the systems in an RV, I always say it's not if something's going to break, but a matter of when is something going to break. That is why I think an extended warranty for RVs is so important. We first interviewed wholesale warranties back in 2019 and immediately became impressed with how their policies worked, such as you can take your RV to any licensed repair shop, including mobile repairs. They also have personalized service plans, making sure you are getting the right policy for your needs. And if you think your RV is too old for a policy, you might be surprised to hear that RVs up to 20 years old can still be approved for a policy. That is more age lenient than most RV parks I've stayed at. Go to wholesalewarranties.com/beyond the wheel or click the link down below in our show notes to get your free quote today.